In this video, I'm going to show you guys some tricks on how to set the user's time zone in a Rails application. First, we're going to generate and run a migration to add time zone to the user's table. Then we'll add some validations to ensure the time zone is present and that it is stored in the correct format. We'll create a partial to create our time zone select field. To make this component more flexible, we'll allow the caller to pass in class names to control the style of the surrounding div. Otherwise, this component is simply made up of the label and the select of all of the available time zones. And the actual select will display the pretty print name, but the actual value will be the time zone identifier. If no time zone is selected, we'll add a simple prompt. We can now add this time zone component to our edit user settings page. It's looking pretty good so far, but there's a problem. It's never fun to have to select from so many options. And 9 times out of 10, the user probably just wants to set their time zone to their system's time zone. Wouldn't it be convenient if there was a way that we could just sync the two? For example, what if we had a button that when clicked, it set the select value to the system's time zone. So instead of searching through a huge list, we could just click this button, then boom, we've set the time zone to the system's time zone, which in my case is Eastern time. To do this, we'll need to use a little bit of JavaScript. So we'll create a stimulus controller called time zone. We'll update our time zone partial to connect to this stimulus controller. We'll create a target for this button, and then we'll create an action so that when this button is clicked, we can apply the system time zone. We'll also want to add a target for our select. Anytime the value changes on the select, we can hide the button if the system time zone is already set. So now we're ready to implement this stimulus controller. We'll add our select and button to our targets array. So if the select value is not present, we'll go ahead and set the select's value to the system's time zone. Then we'll go ahead and hide the button if the system time zone is already set. If the button is clicked, we'll want to update the value of the select, then hide the button. Now we can see our time zone component is working as expected. Now, this is great and all, but wouldn't it be nice if the user didn't have to explicitly set their time zone? For example, what if we set the time zone for them when they signed up? Since we're using Devise for user registration, we'll need to customize the Devise views. We'll pass in our time zone select partial, but this time we're gonna hide it. So when a new user object is instantiated, the time zone will not be set. So when we connect to the stimulus controller, we'll automatically set the value on the select to the system's time zone. But to make this work with Devise, we're gonna need to override the default behavior of the registrations controller. We'll update our routes.rb to point to our new controller. We'll need to override the configure signup params callback to allow the time zone to be set on creation. Now when a new user creates an account, they don't have to set their time zone explicitly because we're setting it for them. Then when we go to the user settings page, we can see the time zone is correctly set to the system's time zone, which is what we want. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.